LandmarkCompany.com.
Buckle up and hang on. This is going to be a good one.
The fans of Kansas Speedway know how to have a good time. One that celebrates fantastic finishes.
Crash together. So close.
And family-friendly facilities. Trading paint.
We got feuding.
And tailgating tradition. Burnouts. Beer. And barbecue. Oh, it'll for sure be a good time. And you are all invited. NASCAR weekend at Kansas Speedway, May 9th through the 11th. Get your tickets now at kansasspeedway.com.
Automotive Solutions is Lincoln's one-stop shop for all your vehicle needs, from vinyl wraps to engine repair and maintenance. Automotive Solutions offers fleet services as well as printing and graphic design for vinyl applications, plus installation of vinyl for boats, trucks, cars, and anything else you want wrapped. Perfection is their standard, and they never settle for less. Call today at 531-249-5600 or go to automotivesolutionslincoln.com to learn more. That's Automotive Solutions on 2024 Southwest 5th Street in Lincoln.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it's becoming a wild ride in the car market these days, but Koppel wants to let you know and assure you that we are staying the course with our usual pricing model. We've still got huge discounts and low interest rates, so let's get after it. We've got over $12,500 off list price or 0% APR right now on select new vehicles. New and pre-owned, our lots are full, so now's the time to buy. Please stop on in the dealership or check us out at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. Stock number G187747. All deals with roof credit.
What's going on, fans? This is Lexi Rodriguez, four-time All-American at Nebraska and now proud member of Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League One Volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players, and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering us on in the stands. Visit LOVBOMA.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action this season. Go Big Green!
Grandma and Grandpa, Mom and Dad, then the kids, and now the grandkids. Judson Irrigation has provided lawn sprinkler system design, installation, repair, and service to 4 generations. They're just like members of the family. Loyalty, trust, service. It's what you deserve and expect from Judson Irrigation.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Spring has arrived, the temperatures are rising, and it's time to get your equipment ready for the season. Landmark Implement has high-quality used John Deere planters, sprayers, and tractors, priced to move and ready to work for you. Take advantage of unbeatable deals and flexible financing to upgrade your operation without stretching your budget. Stop by your local Landmark Implement or browse our full inventory online at landmarkimp.com. Before these deals are done, experience the Landmark difference.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine with light winds. Afternoon high around 68. Tonight, mainly clear skies and light winds, low near 46. And tomorrow, we'll see mainly sunny skies. It'll be windy and warm with an afternoon high near 80. I'm meteorologist Kyle Fletcher for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is Old School, sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Oh, welcome to it, welcome to it, welcome to it. A very happy Friday to you and yours. I hope you're off the grind. Hope you're done with your week, headed home for the weekend. I'm with you, Austin Norman, till 6 o'clock for Old School. Then a little longer yet tonight, the Corner 3, about to make its long-awaited, highly anticipated return for a couple segments. But to then, after that, starting at approximately 6:40, we do also have Lincoln Stars hockey on our airwaves. The Anderson Cup champs will take the ice for their final home match of the year tonight. They have one more regular season game tomorrow before end of next week. Guess what? Lincoln Stars hockey in the playoffs. We'll carry that for you right here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Don't forget, we are also Lincoln's home for the Kansas City Royals. Very excited to have them back on our airwaves. Kansas City now 7-6 on the year after taking 3 out of 4 from Minnesota at home at Kauffman Stadium. Royals and Cleveland are just underway now in the top of the first in Cleveland. Looks like Jonathan India got out for the Royals, so it's Bobby Witt Jr. with a 2-0 count at the plate right now. Guards took 2 of 3 from the Royals to open the year in Kauffman. It was 7-4 in extras in the first game. Royals bounced back with a 4-3 win in game 2. Then it was the Guardians taking the series with a 6-2 win. Right now, the Royals have a half-game lead in the division over Cleveland. Royals are 7-6. Cleveland is 6-6. But it's the Detroit Tigers, actually, who hold the lead in the AL Central with a 7-5 record. Either way, that's a long way to say we are Lincoln's home for the Royals as well as Lincoln Stars hockey throughout the course of their playoff run. What's on your mind? Let me know. 402-464-5685. Would love to talk about whatever's on your mind before we get into whatever's on my mind. I got a little bit of time. You got a little bit of time. We got the next hour or so to go through some thoughts. Been a good day so far during On the Block and Old School. I kind of smushed these two shows together in my head now. Of course, the change for a couple months has been that On the Block is a 3-man show. Me, Strick, and Jay. And Strick ditches us here for Old School. It's usually just me and Jay. But Coach Foreman is back in action over the spring and the summer, so don't be surprised if you get some more solo AO on the airwaves here for the next few months or so. Then we'll, of course, start ramping up football season. And as much as I might try, there is no getting Jay Foreman out of the studio during football season, right? I can't twist his arm hard enough. Can't find any incentives that get him to stop talking about football, which for the most part, we appreciate about him. 0167 says, go Stars, Anderson Cup winners. Yeah, go Stars. Players are studs. Rocky's a stud. Joel's a stud. Great organization, well run. And tonight, final home match may or may not be a Husker wrestler in the building. And not just a Husker wrestler, a national champion Husker wrestler. Oh, and not just a national champion for Husker wrestling, but a homegrown Husker wrestling national champion in the house at the Icebox tonight. I will say no more. I have said my piece. You should probably know who that is by now if you don't already. Bobby Witt Jr. reaches. He draws a walk, so he's aboard with one away in the top of the first for Vinny Pasquantino. And it's just interesting to watch these Kansas City Royals get off to the start they are this year with a 7-6 record so far, because Salvador Perez and Vinny Pasquantino are not hitting really in the slightest. I mean, Vinny had like a 1 for 13 or a 4 for 23 homestand, whatever it was, and still found a way to drive in 6 runs because he's king of the sack fly or productive out, whatever form it might take. The Royals offense has not been good so far this year. They've scored 45 runs in 13 games. That is brutal. Absolutely atrocious, right? I mean, you're averaging less than 4 runs per game. 4 is kind of the bare minimum to be a baseline competent Major League Baseball offense. Royals are, let me do some quick math there. Yeah, that's about 3.5 runs per game. That's not going to get it done, no matter how good your pitching staff is, right? I mean, to fill out a Hall of Fame pitching staff from front to back, 3.5 runs a game probably still won't get it done. I mean, Perez has been worth only 0.1 wins above replacement so far. He's played in all 13 games with 53 plate appearances for the Royals. Only a 200 batting average. He struck out 14 times in 50 at-bats. That's a 28% strikeout rate, which is on the upper end of manageable if there's power to show for it. But Salvi only has 3 extra base hits in 13 games, only slugging 300. That's not enough to get it done for a bat first and really bat only player at this stage of his career. I'm just worried that whenever Salvador Perez does fall off, it's going to be a very fast, very precipitous decline. The fact that he's playing as well as he is into his mid-30s as a guy who still primarily catches is impressive enough in its own right. But the hope for the Royals is that they would have found someone that could give Salvador Perez a day or two off behind the plate. And you could argue they have with Freddie Fermin. Freddie's not a star, right? He's a good backup catcher. It's just unfortunate timing for the Royals because I think that guy was supposed to be MJ Melendez, who the Royals didn't figure out couldn't hack it behind home plate until he got to the major leagues. That's a guy in MJ Melendez that led the minor leagues in home runs as a catcher and then got to the pros. His defense suffered. I mean, cannon of an arm, but framing wasn't good. Blocking wasn't good. Oh, and by the way, the dude couldn't hit and still isn't hitting yet, even though they move him, to an easier defensive position, primarily in left field now for MJ Melendez. So the Royals thought they had their contingency plan for Salvi in MJ Melendez, who would be entering his prime right about now. I mean, MJ Melendez is in his age 26 season. So if Salvador Perez was about to fall off, you're like, okay, MJ Melendez has had a year or two of seasoning behind the dish, splitting time with Salvador Perez. He's gotten his feet wet. He's got to be about ready to make the jump to a full-time major league catcher, or at least, a timeshare in that position with Salvi. It'd be very productive for the Royals because Perez hits right-handed, Melendez swings lefty. It was all there, but Melendez can't hack it, so the Royals are on to their next plan. And it took him a while to get anyone up to this level. You think about a guy like Logan Porter, who was never really much of a prospect for them. He climbed his way up through the system, had a pretty good year for Omaha last year before getting traded to the San Francisco Giants. I think it was a trade for cash considerations is what it was. There's some weird stuff going on at the end of the year in Omaha around that situation. But now the Royals almost have too many catchers. Problem is they're just not major league ready yet. You think about a guy by the name of Luca Tresh, who's doing some good things in the minors. And then two of the Royals' top prospects are both catchers as well. In Blake Mitchell, who was the Royals' first-round pick a couple of years ago. He got hit by a pitch in the hand, broke a hamate bone. He's very close to making his return to getting some reps. Probably not live action quite yet. It's in his left hand and his glove hand, I believe it was. But that's your first-round pick that you spent on a high school catcher. He's in high A this year, I believe. And Carter Jensen, who is a bat-first masher behind the dish. Pretty good, improving decent defensive numbers. But the further along you get down the road to the show, the harder it becomes to play defense as a catcher, right? Pitches are that much faster. They break that much more. And the grind of Major League Baseball, 3, maybe 4 days in a city, that's what you get instead of minor league baseball, where in a lot of places, you're playing games 6 days in a row. With what is it? Monday is your travel day, and you're playing Tuesday through Sunday. But that's where the Royals didn't package one of their young catchers with another prospect to go get another major league ready catcher. And they didn't do that to improve the outfield. The Royals are still running Hunter Renfroe, MJ Melendez. Now Drew Waters gets called up with Mark Canha on the injured list for some hip soreness and tightness, whatever it was he suffered just a few days ago. Renfroe's at the tail end of his productive part of his career, if he's not already past it at age 33. Again, Melendez has never really taken off at age 26. Kyle Isbell's pretty entrenched in center field. He's running up a negative wins above replacement right now, offensively at least, in 32 plate appearances. Got an OPS plus of 92, which is actually not that bad for Kyle Isbell, all things considered. But the Royals didn't and haven't found a way to get more production out of the catcher position so far through 13 games, specifically in the person of Salvador Perez, who the Royals need in the core of their lineup, hitting fourth for them this year. And even Vinny Pasquantino, that's a guy that I've got some mixed thoughts on. I have nothing against Vinny, the guy, Vinny, the player. The Royals seem to think Vinny is a guy that can become a face of the franchise, a co-face, or at least a Robin to Bobby Witt Jr.'s Batman. The Vinny Pasquantino right now in his age 27 season, off to just a 178 start with the stick. He's got 1 home run in 12 games played. He has driven in a team best 10 runs, only 6 strikeouts in 50 plate appearances. That's a 12% strikeout rate. That's manageable. That's fine. His on-base percentage, though, only 240. And one of the biggest selling points for Vinny Pasquantino coming up is that's a guy who is willing to work a walk. We haven't seen that from Vinny Pasquantino, right? We haven't seen patience lead to power for Vinny because he's gone the way of pretty much every other Royals player in history who gets less patient when they join the organization. I'm trying to pull up his minor league numbers if I can, because they were pretty incredible with what he was able to do in the minor leagues. At one point, Vinny Pasquantino had, similar numbers of extra base hits, strikeouts, and walks. I think at one point he had like 60 extra base hits, 60 strikeouts, and 60 walks in Omaha before he got called up, which is absolutely incredible. And guys like that with that level of plate discipline are the ones that typically age better and are better hitters. I mean, on base percentage, being able to take a pitch and wait for one that you can actually do some damage on is a hallmark of a good hitter. Vinny Pasquantino's lost a little bit of that since he's made his way to the majors. I mean, his OPS plus has gone from 135 in 72 games as a rookie, 61 games he played in 2023 as a 106. Last year, above average at a 112 with a Major League Baseball best 13 sacrificed flies. But you're not going to extend your first baseman of the future to hit sac flies. If Vinny Pasquantino is the first baseman of the future, he's got to start hitting for legit power. I mean, Vinny's career high in home runs was last year. He had 19 of them for a guy that's like 6'4", 250? Okay, 6'3", 250? The Royals need power out of Vinny Pasquantino. I mean, right now, he's 75% of Billy Butler, if we're being completely honest. Not that Billy Butler was a bad player. In fact, probably a little bit of an underrated hitter. Just an artist with the bat is kind of what Country Breakfast Billy Butler was as a player. But at some point, if you're the Royals, you got to be honest with what Vinny Pasquantino is. At some point, he's not a projection. He's not a potential, because this is supposed to be the start of Vinny Pasquantino's prime. And really, it's a fizzle to the start of the prime right now. And the reason that's important is because the Royals have Jack Caglione coming up. And am I expecting Jack Caglione in the majors by the end of this year? No, not necessarily. But if you're the Royals, who's your first baseman of the future? Is it Vinny Pasquantino? Is it Jack Caglione? Caglione's a better athlete. Caglione has a better arm. I'm not saying move him to right field. You do need help in the corners. That's where the lack of development from Tyler Gentry or Gavin Cross, even John Rave, comes into play and hurts the Royals a little bit. I don't think they should move Cags out to right field just to get him up to the majors. But at some point, are you hoping that Caglione can take over first base and then Vinny Pasquantino becomes your everyday designated hitter? If so, that's fine. But if you're going to pay a designated hitter, he's got one job. He's got to be worth it. I think that's part of the reason the Royals haven't extended Vinny Pasquantino yet, is because they're still in wait and see mode. If the Royals knew what Vinny Pasquantino was, my guess is they would have made more of a push to extend him or more of a push to trade him. There were some talks that the Royals were shopping Vinny Pasquantino to the Marlins for starting pitching help. Wouldn't have been the worst idea. The Royals didn't really have anyone else in the system at the first base designated hitter type, but they're not exactly hard to find, right? Guys at the end of their career, guys that still need a shot. I mean, think about where Vinny Pasquantino is coming out of, right? He's sprung from the same ground that Hunter Dozier towards the end of his Royals tenure, Ryan O'Hearn before the Royals let him walk. Not a very high bar for Vinny Pasquantino to have to clear. And he's been better than those guys, don't get me wrong. But he hasn't been that next level guy. He hasn't taken that step forward in terms of actual on-field production that the Royals need as a middle-of-the-order bat to warrant a big contract extension, to warrant being a piece for the future if Jack Caglione's going to come up, be hot on his tail like he's doing right now. I mean, for Pete's sake, Cags, who the Royals took 6th in the first round last summer, just hit a ball 120.9 miles per hour to the opposite field. Think about that. 120.9 off the bat to a place where you lose power the other way. Cags is nuts. He's tearing it up right now. That's not to say there won't be bumps in the road. But that 120.9 oppo was better than Giancarlo Stanton's best last year when he hit at 120.3 oppo. Now, half a mile an hour, how big a difference is it really? But again, Giancarlo Stanton's a dude with, 300 career homers, I want to say? He's at least 250, right? Giancarlo Stanton, oh gosh, I was short. 430 career homers. If you tell me Jack Caglione hits 430 career homers for the Kansas City Royals, I will take pretty much whatever else comes with it. Vinny Pasquantino's not doing that right now, and that's really his one job, is to at least hit gap shot doubles. If not, deposit the spheroid outside the boundaries from time to time. And yeah, it's early. It's 13 games in. Royals just started game 14 against Cleveland. Looks like the guards got out of it. Bobby and Vinny walked before Perez and Massey got out. Massey struck out to end the frame with 2 on. So, no, the season's not over. Yes, it's a long season. But if Perez is falling off a cliff at age 34, finally age catching up with him a little bit, and if Vinny Pasquantino is just going to be a slightly above replacement level hitter, I don't blame the Royals for not giving him extension, in which case I would blame the Royals for not having a clear idea of who he was sooner and not trading him for more help that they needed when they could get it. Good stuff on the Royals. Let's talk some Husker football on the other side. We'll hear from EJ Barthel and Dana Holgorsen, give you my thoughts on what those Husker football coaches had to say when we continue some Old School.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Grandma and Grandpa, Mom and Dad, then the kids, and now the grandkids. Judson Irrigation has provided lawn sprinkler system design, installation, repair, and service to 4 generations. They're just like members of the family. Loyalty, trust, service. It's what you deserve and expect from Judson Irrigation.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Your new Total Wine in Lincoln has the largest selection of wines, spirits, and beers, plus totally low prices and friendly service from our helpful guides. With over 8,000 wines, 4,500 spirits, and 2,500 beers, you're sure to find your favorites and something new. You can even order delivery, in-store, or curbside pickup. Find what you love what you find, only at Total Wine & More. Now open in Lincoln next to Gateway Mall.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Fleet Feet Lincoln is excited for the upcoming spring season and the warmer temps, and they want you to get outside and be active. Fleet Feet's Fit ID process takes a free 3D image of your feet to help runners and walkers alike find comfortable tennis shoes and inserts that ease pain associated with plantar fasciitis, bunions, and more. Get back on your feet this spring with a trip to Fleet Feet, open 7 days a week at 77th and Pioneers.
It's the 2-fingered wave on a gravel road. It's letting the kids take Dad's truck to prom. It's Friday nights under the lights of a hometown football field. Eustace Body Shop knows small towns. It's where our values are rooted. We treat our people right, and in turn, they treat you, our customer, right. And we give back to our communities. Not much more small town than that. Eustace Body Shop, small town service, big city technology.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Spring has arrived. The temperatures are rising, and it's time to get your equipment ready for the season. Landmark Implement has high-quality used John Deere planters, sprayers, and tractors, priced to move and ready to work for you. Take advantage of unbeatable deals and flexible financing to upgrade your operation without stretching your budget. Stop by your local Landmark Implement or browse our full inventory online at landmarkimp.com. Before these deals are done, experience the Landmark difference.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It's the middle child of driver safety. Ugh. It's like that scene in a movie you don't want to see, thinking, it won't happen to me. In the time of doing everything at once with 3 screens and taking meetings and eating in the car, it's not easy. But when driving takes the back seat, distracted driving causes more than 14% of fatal and injury crashes every year. For real. Let's start driving for real. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100. Or visit one of his 2 locations in Lincoln or Seward and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
A smoke-free environment is the only way to fully protect from the dangers of secondhand smoke. That's why smoke-free policies are so important to me. Whether it's in my car, apartment building, or when I'm dining outdoors, there's no place for secondhand smoke or e-cigarette aerosol. Breathe easier knowing the facts. Visit smokefree.ne.gov. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Early break.
How to present the card.
Present your credit card or your debit card. And you're presenting generally
At first,
debit.
when you said that, I thought you were talking about your business card. And I go, you're giving them your business card. Thank you. And I'm Steve Sipple from On3. And if you need to log in, do that.
You will get an occasional, like
with Steve Sipple, Jake Sorensen, and Bill Bush from 6 to 9 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Back to old school on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is Old School, brought to you by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. They've got 3 Lincoln locations and 1 up in Omaha. Down here in Lincoln, 84th and Havelock, 85th and Old Cheney, and 30th and Yankee Hill. Up in Omaha, 168th and Maple. If you have plans to grill tonight or this weekend, please, please, please send us what you're making. Picture would be great. If not, just run it down on our text line, brought to you by Starter Heyman Jewelers, 402-464-5685. EJ Barthel, Dana Holgorsen grilled. Okay, maybe not quite that crazy. But they were asked some questions, right? They faced the media here during spring ball. Huskers threw 9 practices, 10 practices, about 2/3 of the way through are your Nebraska Cornhuskers. Let's talk about the tight ends, right? Let's talk about Luke Lindenmeyer. That's a guy that certainly played a role when Dana Holgorsen got to Lincoln. What does the offensive coordinator think about Luke Lindenmeyer and what his role in the offense could be?
I think all 3 of those tight ends last year did a really good job. I mean, they all played, a lot. I just, Luke was, I just think he's a football player, man. He was the youngest one, and so I knew he was going to keep getting better and better. But he's another guy that is taking on a leadership role, is more vocal, incredibly smart, plays with unbelievable pad level, is one of our better receivers, is reliable in the pass game, can get in there and put his hand on the ground and dig people out from a tight end perspective, sees the whole field and knows exactly what's going on at every play. So he's just sophomore, going to be a junior, so he's going to keep getting better. Happy with where he's at.
Going to be interesting to watch the development of this tight end position for Nebraska this year. You think about Thomas Fedoni off to the NFL draft, Nate Borkacher off to the transfer portal and Texas A&M, and that leaves Luke Lindenmeyer as the next man up for Nebraska. That's a guy that could have had one of the biggest plays of Nebraska's season last year, just off his fingertips. A pass from Dylan Raiola against Illinois. That was the shot play for the Huskers there late in that game, looking to reclaim the lead, go ahead with a bigger margin. Maybe that changes the outcome of the game. Maybe it doesn't. But I'm curious to see what this year holds for Luke Lindenmeyer and whoever else emerges as tight end 2, tight end 3 in this offense, because of just how loaded it seems like Nebraska's wide receiver core is. Dana Holgorsen certainly talked about that. Let's see here. It was, on wide receivers learning to adjust and his impression of who the wide receiver core is as of right now. Here's Dana Holgorsen.
Yeah, that's a work in progress too. Just from this is how we're going to do it type thing. That's not going to happen overnight either. I mean, fortunately you have, you got some vets in there like I consider Luke a skill guy. Lindenmeyer. I mean, he's a veteran guy that is coming into his own. Dane Keys played a lot. He gets more comfortable with Dylan every day. Is starting to show up. Bonner is a tough guy. That's a skill guy that plays a whole lot of things and a lot of just a tough guy that plays fast. And then Jacory's a vet as well. And Isaiah Hunter made a couple of plays today that I've been waiting on him. So it's starting to make sense to those guys that have logged reps, and then, the young guys just got to keep plugging away. A lot of times those guys are their heads spinning. We've got pretty much everything in. And I call it like, if we get in situational stuff, third downs, everything's on the table. It's not just the plays of the day. You get down into the red zone, everything's on the table. It's not just the plays of the day. So you can see their heads, the younger guys, Cortez and Isaiah, those guys are, their heads are spinning when you put it all together, which is understandable. The good news is it's spring practice, going on number 10. So we got 5 more opportunities to coach them and then come back in June and work more football, before the real deal happens.
Heard a couple names there, Cortez, Mills, Isaiah, Mosey. What has Dana Holgorsen seen from those 2 early enrollees out of the high school ranks? Here's the OC.
Both those guys are going to contribute. They will be contributors in the fall. Okay, so they will continue to get better. We'll continue to figure out what they do well. On one-on-one reps, those guys probably have the highest percentage success rate. That very rarely do DBs get their hands on those guys. They have the unique ability to be able to stay away from defenders. They're not very strong, so the contested catch stuff is not probably is what you want it at this point. But those guys do a good job with body control and just playing the game. Now their heads are spinning, which slows them down some, but they really do a good job. They're talented young men. They're 2 very talented kids that will play this year.
They'll contribute. They'll play. Curious to see if that means that they will get their feet wet on special teams first, how often they'll be involved there, or if they're going to be legitimate pieces of this offense for Nebraska. Because if Nebraska puts these young guys out at wide receiver, that either speaks very highly of them or it speaks volumes about the other guys that have been brought in, that the young freshmen have already passed them on the depth chart. The part that stood out to me the most, though, about what Dana Holgorsen said was just how good those guys are at staying away from defenders, right? Of getting off the line, of creating separation, and of getting open. Kind of feels like that's something Nebraska has struggled with recently, right? I think back to the end of a couple seasons ago into even midseason last year, right? Nebraska's struggles against press coverage. If you want to play at the next level, you got to be able to get off press coverage. I didn't even play football, and I know that, right? It's just simple stuff. You're going to get jammed at the line. There's going to be hand fighting. How clean is your break off the ball? Nebraska still struggled with that at times last year, right? For all the physical gifts that Isaiah Nair had, still struggled with that at times. Jamal Banks, good athlete, not elite athlete, didn't always create a lot of separation against man. Man's the primary defense, right? Zone's the changeup in a lot of cases. And sure, there are hybrid systems where half is man, half is zone, whatever. I get it. It can get more complex. But just like in basketball, right? What you're going to see the majority of the time is man-to-man. Some teams will play you tight. Some teams will play you a little more loose, whatever. But you got to be able to create separation in a one-on-one situation. Or at the very least, win your one-on-one, no matter how open you are or aren't. It's not shocking to hear Dana Holgorsen say that, yeah, the contested catch stuff is probably a little bit behind. Not shocking for freshmen. But the fact that these guys are still able to get open, get off the ball, to create separation from defensive backs, if they can do that, sure, throw them out there. Why not? I've never been a huge proponent of, well, this guy needs to be an elite blocker and, he needs to be a great blocker on the perimeter. That to me just always feels like a bit of a cop-out and an excuse, because you can always get better at that sort of stuff. Now, if you're whiffing blocks and assignments and running the wrong routes, please, by all means, bench a young man until he gets it right. But Nebraska, it also feels like maybe in some cases has kept some athletic dudes and some talent off the field because of those little things, right? And you don't want to let him slide. You still have to have a standard and hold him accountable. But would you rather have a guy on the field that is an A-plus, run blocker and a, C wide receiver in terms of getting open, catching the ball, all that stuff? Or would you rather have a C plus blocker and a B plus A minus receiver? It's a wide receiver. It's not a wide blocker. I'd rather have the good, talented receiver out there, cut him loose and say, at the very least, hey, just go deep. Just get off the line, beat your man down the field. Just go. Or if you have a guy that's really good off the line, has a good first few steps, can you get him on those quick 3-step slants, get him yards after the catch, whatever it looks like? Nebraska's not in a position to be able to afford to prioritize perimeter run blocking over dudes that can make special catches and get open. That's my opinion. If you can get open and you can catch the ball, those are the receivers I think Nebraska needs to put out on the field. Standards are standards. Just be a good enough run blocker, right? I'm not asking for wide receivers to pancake. I'm asking for wide receivers to get in the way. Engage a guy long enough for your running back to make the right cut. That's really all I think Nebraska needs to ask for out of its wide receivers in run blocking, right? Special teams, right? Be willing, be active when participating there. But if Cortez Mills and Isaiah Mosey can get open and can catch the ball and can do some fun things with the ball in their hands after the catch, by all means, I would rather see those guys on the field than someone that's on the field to be a run blocker. Bubba, appreciate you texting in here. He says, I agree with you. Imagine having a receiver they had to focus attention on. That DB no longer needs to be worried about being blocked in the run game because he's too focused on the receiver. I feel like it could open up your offense. Obviously, there's a balance, right? You are going to have guys that are better run blockers, and there's certainly a time and a situation for that. But a wide receiver's number one job is to be a wide receiver. Receiver is in the name. Get open, catch the ball. I completely understand that the quarterback needs to trust that the receiver is going to be in the right spot. And if a guy doesn't know the play, doesn't know the right route combo, isn't breaking his routes off at the right step, isn't looking at the right time, okay, fine. If Dylan Raiola can't trust a receiver, he shouldn't be out on the field. But you also need to make sure your quarterback is in the best position to be successful. And I don't think that's with a bunch of run blockers at wide receiver. I think that's with a bunch of wide receivers out on the field. Guys with actual skill, guys that can get open. And I think Nebraska does need to open the offense up in that way. And that's where I do think Nebraska does have a bunch of options, right? Dane Key is intriguing. Jamal Banks 2.0? Not quite. They're not exactly the same player, but I see a good contested catch, bigger bodied, dependable guy there. You need an Isaiah Nair replacement. Maybe that's an Isaiah Hunter, right? With the ability to stretch the field. What does Ja'Cory Barney look like in year two over the middle in the slot? How is Dane Holgorsen going to use him? That's certainly intriguing. Think about Demetrius Bell. That's the guy that was supposed to play. We were supposed to be talking about Demetrius Bell, not Ja'Cory Barney last year before the spring game injury to Demetrius Bell. He's back. Ja'Cory Barney's back. That's going to be a heck of a competition this spring. You think about a guy like Janarin Bonner. What does he bring to the table? That's a guy that I was pretty sold on. He was fine last year, certainly the best numbers of his career. But is he a wide receiver? He's fine. Is he a difference maker, a game changer? Didn't necessarily prove that last year, right? Can Nebraska use him, as that wingback kind of inline tight end, flex tight end sort of role? Carter Nelson, how recovered and healthy is he from the offseason surgeries, whatever it is? Nebraska has guys. Nebraska has names. But who's going to actually step up and be a dude? Those are the guys that Nebraska has to figure out who they are and put them on the field. Gino Texan says the part he didn't talk about was whether or not they would actually catch it when they were open. That was a problem last year, even when the receivers did get open. There are certainly some drops. I didn't think the drops were that crippling. The problem is when they happened, they were pretty bad, right? I mean, Nebraska, I thought for the most part, held on to the ball pretty well. There may be a couple here and there that Jamal Banks, a guy that had no charted drops his final year at Wake Forest, would like back last year. It would have been some huge catches. Nair, how focused was he? Was his head always on the field? Didn't always seem like it at times, but I thought Ja'Cory Barney Jr. caught the ball pretty well. Bonner caught the ball pretty well. Tight ends, when they got the opportunities, I thought caught the ball pretty well, all things considered. So, I mean, yes, you always want a higher percentage of your passes to end in catches and not drops. But I really thought separation and getting open was the bigger problem for Nebraska last year, much more so than I would consider the drops to be an issue. Let's take our final break of Old School. We'll talk some more Husker football to wrap up the show.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Buckle up and hang on. This is going to be a good one.
The fans of Kansas Speedway know how to have a good time. One that celebrates fantastic finishes.
Crash together. So close.
And family-friendly facilities. Trading paint.
We got feuding.
And tailgating tradition. Burnouts. Beer. and barbecue. Oh, it'll for sure be a good time, and you are all invited. NASCAR weekend at Kansas Speedway, May 9th through the 11th. Get your tickets now at kansasspeedway.com.
Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Attention all Wings fans, Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O or in Williamsburg Village.
Your new Total Wine in Lincoln has the largest selection of wines, spirits, and beers, plus totally low prices and friendly service from our helpful guides. With over 8,000 wines, 4,500 spirits, and 2,500 beers, you're sure to find your favorites and something new. You can even order delivery, in-store, or curbside pickup. Find what you love what you find, only at Total Wine and More. Now open in Lincoln next to Gateway Mall.
Drink responsibly, B21.
It's the middle child of driver safety. Ugh. It's like that scene in a movie you don't want to see, thinking, it won't happen to me. In the time of doing everything at once with 3 screens and taking meetings and eating in the car, it's not easy. But when driving takes the back seat, distracted driving causes more than 14% of fatal and injury crashes every year. For real. Let's start driving for real. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Make plans to stop by Corn Coast Brewing this Saturday, April 12th for their Ales Helping Tales event, partnered with Parkview Animal Hospital. This semi-annual fundraiser collects donations and sells raffle tickets to raise money for Vets Get Pets, a program in the Nebraska Department of Veteran Affairs that helps with adoption fees for veterans. A special beer will be brewed, and the first 100 customers who buy the beer will receive a special edition Stadium Cup. That's all this Saturday at Corn Coast Brewing at 14th and Yankee Hill.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call today at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Back to old school on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
One final segment for the week here on Old School. I am Austin Norman. This is Old School, brought to you by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. I'm not going anywhere, though, for the next 45 minutes. After this, you'll have the Corner 3 making its triumphant return. And let me know here on the text line. I know we carry the Royals games, but don't always get a chance to talk a lot of Royals on the air with my other co-host, who I love quite a bit. What would you guys think if I sat down and chatted Royals with you for an hour a week? You on? You on board? You with that? Let me know. 402-464-5685. That is our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line. Of course, they also sponsor our streams, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can always leave a comment on any of those streams. I'll see it, get to it as well. But on that Starter Heyman Jewelers text line, Augie says, what do you envision Quinn Clark being this year? I think Quinn Clark can play a role. I think that's a guy that can be a rotational piece at the very least for Nebraska. Do I envision him being a star? No, probably not right away. Not this year. I think that that Quinn Clark will probably be following Dane Key around quite a bit. I really do. I mean, Dane Key 6'3", 210. Quinn Clark listed at 6'5", 205. But I think there's a similar kind of athletic profile there, right? Athletic enough, but not reliant on athleticism. Tall, but not awkwardly tall. I think that Quinn Clark could be a great understudy for Dane Key. And I think Dane Key could be a great mentor for Quinn Clark. That's a guy that sounded like Dana Holgorsen was pretty enthused with when he first got to Lincoln last year. So I think that there's some pre-existing relationship and excitement for what Quinn Clark can be. Is next year his year? Probably not. But that's a young man I would highly recommend to stay patient because his time is probably coming soon. Next man up after injury, could it be Quinn Clark? Absolutely. I could be convinced of that. Absolutely. When I look at this Nebraska receiver room, we know the Ja'Cory Barney Jr. name, Kean Hunter. If I had to guess right now, those are your three starters, and I'd want those guys getting a pretty high percentage of the snaps. I think, they're similar enough but different enough. They can give you some good versatility and variety in what you're doing with your offensive play calls. I do think that, Mills and Mosey going to play a role according to Dana Holgorsen. I'll take his word for it. Keelan Smith is another one that's listed as a wide receiver at 6'3", 210. That's a guy that it sounded like, came pretty prepared for college ball, all things considered, right? With his lineage, of course, being the son of Neil Smith, playing some pretty high-level ball down there in Kansas City, certainly a productive high school player in that area. I could see Keelan Smith being a year away as well, maybe physically ready, maybe closer to mentally ready right now. But I think there's a lot of bodies. I think there's a lot of mouths to feed there in that Nebraska wide receiver room. Demetrius Bell, a name I mentioned there as well. But, Augie chimes back in and says, agree, hoping Nebraska has someone that's under the radar. That's really what it's going to be. The last few years, it's been Nebraska is relying on this name or that name that we already know coming into the year. And that's not bad. That's not wrong, because you want to have established veterans, established studs in the league that you can throw their direction, 5, 7, 9, 10 times a game with good success, and you're going to get results. But at the same time, as much as you need your stars to step up, you need here's the way I think it probably works best for Nebraska. In the early going, one of Dane Key, Ja'Cory Barney, or an Isaiah Hunter has to get going early. And I mean from the jump. Game 1 against Cincinnati on through the non-conference. So you get to Big Ten play, and conference teams are loading up a little bit more against one of those guys. That'll open up some opportunities maybe for a Luke Lindenmeyer, potentially at tight end. You think about Mac Markway. That's a guy who tweeted out he's pretty excited to be in Lincoln, the LSU transfer. Heinrich Harburg, we'll see how that transformation to tight end continues to go for him. Then some young depth behind those guys. Really, though, where I think the under-the-radar player is going to come from is going to be running back, because Nebraska does need someone to pair with Emmett Johnson. And this is not a knock on Emmett, who is a darn good player. How will Emmett Johnson handle being RB1? Got a lot of attention this offseason, running around to high school games and sporting events and whatnot with Dylan Raiola. That's not a bad thing. Good for him. Emmett Johnson's a good player who worked his way into the running back one conversation and probably should have been running back one earlier than he was each of the last 2 years. But what if Emmett Johnson's more Tony Pollard, right? What if he gets his chance and you see that he's just the good change of pace back, that he's better as a reserve than he is as a starter? What if teams are better able to game plan for him as the starter and he doesn't get off the same stats, the same runs that he did the last couple of years? What does Nebraska do then? Had some praise for Quentin Ives recently, guy that scored his first career touchdown in the bowl game against Boston College. Okay, prove it. Quentin Ives, you've been on campus. Now's your time. Let's see something, Mekhi Nelson is a guy that is getting some rave reviews. Does Jamarian Parker step up? Those are both freshmen. I guess Nelson's a redshirt freshman, and Jamarian Parker is a true freshman right now. But I do think that running back is a place that Nebraska is going to need someone else to step up. Whoever it is, whatever it looks like, whether Emmett Johnson is a stud and just needs someone to take one or two drives a game off his plate, or if Emmett Johnson struggles with more film on him and more film on what Nebraska wants to do, and someone else has to step up and carry that load. I can't tell you who that name is right now, but Nebraska, I feel like, is overdue for a young running back to step up and take the world by storm. Become the feature option? Probably not. Become a feature option? Absolutely, right? I mean, not saying running back's easy, but again, I do wonder how often Nebraska has prioritized the high floor, low ceiling guy that knows how to pass protect over the home run threat. Nebraska needs the home run threat. Nebraska needs the 5 to 6 yard per carry guy, much more than it needs the pass blocker. Nebraska needs production. That to me is where we're at with Nebraska football, is be a good enough pass blocker. Get in the way enough. Get run over slow enough to give Dylan Raiola enough time. But once the ball's in your hands, you got to be a difference maker. You got to be a game changer. And I feel like Nebraska's really been missing that at wide receiver and at running back for the last couple of years. It's true or not, but the results on offense certainly haven't been good enough, I think, to prioritize the secondary skills over the primary skills for Nebraska. So we'll see how things shake out. Hope to talk some more defense next week. I've been pretty heavy in my investment on the offense. Lots to get to on the defensive side of the ball as well. Really appreciate all you, your thoughts, your comments, your questions here throughout Old School. Would love it if you would stick with me for the next 45 minutes or so. Lincoln Stars at 6:45, but until then, the Corner 3 makes its return. We'll go over Nebraska men's basketball's early transfer class. Huskers still putting in some work on the trail. We'll talk about the guys that are committed for Nebraska so far. Then we will get into some of the best transfer classes nationally so far. Who's making some waves in the portal? How much is it costing them? All that and more ahead on the Corner 3 right after this.
At Fairway Meat Market, you're family, and as part of the family,